Picture this moment with me. It's 3 a.m. You're lying in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. Your body is safe, wrapped in warm blankets. Your home is quiet. Yet your mind is fighting battles that haven't happened. Planning conversations that may never occur. Solving problems that don't yet exist. Your heart races as if you're running from danger, but you're perfectly still. Sound familiar? This is the modern epidemic of our time. We're physically present but mentally absent, living in the anxiety of tomorrow while missing the peace of today. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree and discovered something profound about the human condition. He saw that we create our own suffering not through what happens to us, but through our constant mental time travel, always reaching for a future that never arrives or replaying a past we cannot change. Today, I want to share with you 7 ancient Buddhist teachings that can transform your relationship with worry and anxiety. These aren't just philosophical ideas, they're practical tools that can bring you back home to the only moment where peace truly exists. This moment. Right now. Part 1, The Sacred Return, Finding Your Only True Refuge. Let me tell you something that might sound simple but holds profound power. You have never lived a single second outside of now. Not one breath has ever been taken in the future. Not one heartbeat has ever happened in the past. Think about that for a moment. Every joy you've experienced, every challenge you've overcome, every breath you've taken, all of it happened in the present moment. Yet where does your mind spend most of its time? The Buddha called this present moment our true refuge, not because it's always pleasant, but because it's the only place where life actually exists. It's like trying to drink water from yesterday's rain or tomorrow's clouds. The only water that can quench your thirst is the water in your cup right now. When worry takes hold, it's like a master magician performing the ultimate illusion. It makes you believe that danger lurks in an imagined tomorrow, triggering your body's alarm systems today. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real tiger and an imagined one. Both create the same stress hormones, the same racing heart, the same shallow breathing. But here's the beautiful truth. Worry has no power in the present moment. None whatsoever. Why? Because worry needs the future to survive. It feeds on what if and maybe then. But when you anchor yourself in the now, worry dissolves like mist in the morning sun. Let's practice this together right now. Take a deep breath with me. Feel the air entering your nostrils. Is it cool or warm? Now, feel your feet. If you're sitting, feel them touching the floor. If you're lying down, feel them against the bed. This is real. This is now. Notice your hands. Are they warm or cool? Open or closed? This simple awareness is your anchor. Count 5 things you can see right now. 4 things you can touch. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. 1 thing you can taste. This is called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, and it's based on the Buddhist practice of mindfulness. Your senses only exist in the present. They are your doorway back home. Remember this. When anxiety whispers its stories of tomorrow, come back to your breath. Come back to your body. Come back home. Part 2, The Art of Flowing, Acceptance as Liberation. There's an old Buddhist parable about a man shot with a poisoned arrow. Instead of immediately seeking treatment, he demands to know who shot the arrow, what wood it was made from, and what type of poison was used. The Buddha used this story to illustrate how we often increase our suffering by resisting what is, rather than responding to what needs attention. Acceptance in Buddhism isn't what you might think. It's not giving up. It's not a resignation. It's not saying, "This is fine," when everything is falling apart. Acceptance is like water meeting a rock in a stream. The water doesn't fight the rock. It doesn't exhaust itself trying to move what cannot be moved. Instead, it flows around, finding its way forward without resistance. When we resist reality, when we mentally argue with what has already happened or what is happening, we create what Buddhists call the second arrow of suffering. The first arrow is the difficult situation itself. The second arrow is our resistance to it, and often, this second arrow hurts far more than the first. Imagine holding a glass of water. The glass represents your current situation. Maybe it's a job loss, a relationship ending, a health challenge. Now imagine gripping that glass tighter and tighter, fighting against having to hold it. What happens? Your hand cramps. Your arm shakes. The very act of resistance creates more pain than simply holding the glass. Here's a practice to cultivate acceptance. Close your eyes and bring to mind something you've been resisting. Maybe it's a situation at work, a family dynamic, or even something about yourself. Now, instead of pushing it away, imagine it as a heavy stone you've been carrying. Feel its weight. Acknowledge its presence. Take a deep breath and say internally, "This is what is right now. I acknowledge this reality." Notice, you're not saying you like it. You're not saying it's permanent. You're simply acknowledging what is. Now imagine gently setting the stone down beside you. You're not throwing it away, that would be denial. You're not clutching it to your chest, that would be attachment. You're simply setting it down, creating space between you and the situation. Breathe into that space. This is acceptance. This is freedom. When you stop using your energy to fight what is, you suddenly have that energy available for what could be. This is the paradox of acceptance. By accepting where you are, you become free to move forward. Part 3, The Sky Mind, Observing Without Becoming. Scientists tell us the average person has between 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day. That's one thought every 1.2 seconds. But here's what the Buddha discovered through deep meditation: you are not your thoughts. This might be the most liberating realization you'll ever have. Imagine your mind as a vast blue sky. Thoughts are like clouds passing through. Some clouds are white and fluffy, happy thoughts, pleasant memories. Some are dark and stormy, fears, worries, regrets. But here's the crucial understanding: no matter how many clouds pass through, they never damage the sky itself. The sky remains vast, open, unharmed. You are the sky, not the clouds. Most of us live our entire lives believing we are the weather. A worried thought arises, and we say, "I am worried." An angry thought appears, and we declare, "I am angry." But what if you could observe these thoughts the way you observe clouds from an airplane window, with curiosity, without becoming them? The Buddha taught a practice called vipassana, which means clear seeing. It's the art of watching your thoughts without getting swept away by their stories. Let's practice this together. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Imagine you're sitting by a river. This is the river of your consciousness. Now, watch as thoughts float by like leaves on the water. Don't try to stop them. Don't jump in after them. Just watch. A worry appears. What if I'm not good enough? See it as a leaf floating by. Label it gently, worrying. A memory surfaces. Another leaf. Remembering. A plan for tomorrow. Planning. Don't judge these thoughts as good or bad. They're just leaves on the river. They come, they pass, the river flows on. If you find yourself grabbed by a thought, caught in its story, simply notice, caught in thinking. Then return to watching the river. This is the practice of mindfulness, not emptying your mind, but changing your relationship with its contents. You don't have to believe every thought that passes through your mind. You don't have to act on every feeling that arises. You can watch them come and go, like the weather in the sky of your consciousness. By the way, if you're finding value in these teachings, please subscribe to Buddha Coha for more content that bridges ancient wisdom with modern life. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video on finding peace in chaos. Part 4, The Dance of Change, Embracing Life's Sacred Impermanence. There's a Buddhist meditation where monks contemplate a flower. They watch it in full bloom, visualizing its petals falling one by one, seeing it return to the earth. This isn't meant to be morbid, it's meant to be liberating. The Buddha called impermanence one of the 3 marks of existence. Everything changes. Everything. Your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your circumstances, all in constant flux. At first, this might seem frightening. But sit with this teaching a little longer, and you'll discover it holds the key to freedom from fear. Think about the last time you felt overwhelming anxiety. In that moment, it felt like it would last forever, didn't it? Your body believed it. Your mind believed it. But where is that anxiety now? It passed, like every emotion before it, like every emotion that will come after. Impermanence means your pain is temporary. But it also means your fear of pain is based on an illusion, the illusion that feelings are permanent. Imagine you're watching ocean waves. A big wave of fear crashes on the shore. If you believed that the wave would freeze in place, never receding, you'd panic. But knowing it will pull back, knowing another wave will come, knowing this is the ocean's nature, this knowledge brings peace. Your emotions are like these waves. They rise, they peak, they fall, they recede. This is their nature. Here's a practice for embracing impermanence. Place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. Each heartbeat is unique, you'll never have that exact heartbeat again. This isn't sad, it's sacred. Now notice your breath. This inhale is happening for the first and last time. This exact breath, in this exact moment, will never come again. When worry arises, remind yourself, this too shall pass. Not as empty comfort, but as a fundamental truth. When joy arises, hold it gently, this too shall pass. Not with sadness, but with appreciation. Try this writing exercise, keep a change journal for 1 week. Each day, write 3 things that changed from yesterday. Maybe your mood, the weather, or a situation at work. After a week, read through it. You'll see the dance of impermanence in your own life. This isn't about becoming detached or not caring. It's about dancing with change rather than fighting it. When you truly understand that everything changes, you stop clinging so tightly to what you have and stop fearing so deeply what might come. You learn to surf the waves of change rather than being crushed by them. Part 5, The Great Release, Letting Go of the Illusion of Control. There's a Zen story about 2 monks approaching a rushing river. An elderly woman stands at the bank, afraid to cross. The older monk picks her up, carries her across, and sets her down on the other side. Hours later, the younger monk says, "How could you touch that woman? We've taken vows." The older monk replies, "I set her down at the river. You're still carrying her." This story illustrates our relationship with control. We pick up responsibilities, situations, and other people's emotions, and we never set them down. We carry the whole world on our shoulders, believing that if we let go, everything will fall apart. But here's what the Buddha discovered: control is the ultimate illusion. You can't control whether it rains on your wedding day. You can't control whether someone likes you. You can't control the economy, your body's aging, or other people's choices. The only thing you can influence, not control, but influence, is your own response. Think of yourself as a gardener. You can plant seeds, your actions, water them, your effort, and provide sunlight, your positive intention. But you can't make them grow. You can't force a rose to bloom in winter. You can't command the seasons to change. A gardener who tries to control everything, pulling on plants to make them grow faster, painting leaves green, gluing petals open, creates a garden of suffering. But a gardener who works with nature, who does their part, then trusts the process, creates a garden of peace. Let's practice letting go together. Imagine you're holding a handful of sand. This sand represents everything you're trying to control: your future, others' opinions, and outcomes of your efforts. Squeeze your fist tight. What happens? The sand slips through your fingers. The tighter you squeeze, the more you lose. Now open your hand, palm flat. The sand rests peacefully. You're still holding it, but without grasping. This is the Buddhist way: engaged but not attached, caring but not controlling. Take a situation you've been trying to control. Maybe it's a relationship, a work project, or a health concern. Ask yourself, what is my part in this? Do that part fully, with presence and intention. Then ask, what is not my part? Release that. Literally take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine releasing your grip on what isn't yours to control. Say to yourself, I do my part with love and let go of the rest with trust. When you stop trying to be the CEO of the universe, you can finally rest in your true role, a conscious participant in the great unfolding of life. Part 6, The Gentle Voice, Transforming Your Inner Worrier with Compassion. Inside each of us lives a frightened child. This child remembers every time we were hurt, every time we failed, every time we were rejected. And this child has one job: to keep us safe. This is the voice of worry. Most of us treat this inner warrior as an enemy. We tell it to shut up. We fight it. We try to silence it with distraction or numb it with various escapes. But the Buddha taught a different way, the way of compassion. Imagine a small child tugging at your sleeve, crying, I'm scared. Something bad is going to happen. Would you yell at this child? Would you tell them they're stupid? Or would you kneel, look them in the eyes, and say, I understand you're scared. I'm here with you. You're safe. Your inner warrior deserves the same compassion. In Buddhist practice, this is called metta, or loving kindness, and it begins with yourself. The Dalai Lama once said he was confused when he first heard about self-hatred from Western students. In Tibetan culture, this concept didn't exist. He couldn't understand why people would be enemies to themselves. Yet here we are, at war with our own minds, creating what Buddhists call the second arrow of suffering, not just experiencing worry, but hating ourselves for worrying. Here's a powerful practice for self-compassion. When worry arises, instead of saying, "Not again. Why can't I stop worrying?" try this. Place your hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of your touch. This is the same gesture mothers use to comfort crying babies. Say to your worried self, "I hear you. You're trying to protect me. Thank you for caring so much about my safety." Then add, "I'm here with you. We're safe right now. I've got this." Imagine embracing your worried self, like hugging a frightened friend. You don't have to fix them. You don't have to change them. Just be with them. Try this writing exercise. Write a letter from your wisest, most compassionate self to your worried self. What would you say? How would you comfort this part of you that's just trying to keep you safe? Remember, your worrier isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that needs reassurance, not resistance. When you meet your fear with kindness instead of criticism, something magical happens. The fear softens. It doesn't disappear immediately, but it loosens its grip. It transforms from a screaming alarm to a gentle concern, from a dictator to an advisor. If this message of self-compassion resonates with you, please share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to Buddha Coha for more content on finding peace within yourself. Part 7, The Joy of Now, Happiness as Daily Practice. We've been sold a lie. The lie says, once you achieve X, then you'll be happy. Once you lose the weight. Once you get the promotion. Once you find the perfect partner. Once you have enough money. Once. But the Buddha observed something profound. People who got everything they wanted weren't necessarily happy. And people who had very little weren't necessarily unhappy. Joy, he discovered, isn't a destination, it's a practice. Think of joy like playing a musical instrument. You don't wait until you're perfect to enjoy making music. The joy is in the practice itself, in the daily return to the instrument, in the small improvements, in the moments when the notes flow. In Buddhism, this is called mudita, sympathetic joy. It's the practice of choosing joy, cultivating joy, even celebrating others' joy as your own. Especially in our modern world, where social media showcases everyone's highlight reel, comparison steals our peace, and we're constantly told we're not enough, the practice of joy becomes revolutionary. Joy doesn't mean denying problems or pretending everything is fine. Joy means finding the flower growing through the crack in the concrete. It means savoring your morning coffee even when bills are due. It means watching the sunset even when your heart is heavy. Let's practice joy together right now. Think of 3 things that are going right in this very moment. Maybe you're able to see these words. Maybe you're breathing without effort. Maybe you're safe from immediate danger. These aren't small things, they're miracles we've forgotten to notice. Now, smile. Even if you don't feel like it. The Buddha often spoke of the half smile, a gentle upturn of the lips that sends a signal to your nervous system, we're okay. Hold this smile as you take 3 deep breaths. Notice how it's impossible to maintain anxiety and a genuine smile simultaneously. Here's a daily practice. Start a joy journal. Each night, write 3 moments of joy from your day. Not big achievements, tiny joys. The way light hits a window. A kind word from a stranger. The taste of your lunch. After a month, read through it. You'll discover that joy was there all along, waiting to be noticed. Create a joy anchor. Choose something you do every day, brushing teeth, making coffee, starting your car, and make it your reminder to choose joy. In that moment, no matter what else is happening, smile and think of one thing you're grateful for. You don't have to earn joy. You don't have to deserve it. You just have to practice it, one moment at a time, one breath at a time, one smile at a time. Here we are, my friend, at the end of our journey, but really at the beginning of your practice. We've explored 7 sacred truths that the Buddha discovered under that Bodhi tree, truths that remain as relevant today as they were 2,500 years ago. The present moment isn't just where peace exists, it's the only place life exists. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up, it means stopping the exhausting fight against reality. You are the sky, not the weather, vast, unchanging, unharmed by passing storms. Everything changes, and in that change lies your freedom from fear. Control is an illusion, but influence through right action is real. Your inner warrior needs compassion, not combat. Joy isn't waiting at the finish line, it's here in every step of the race. But knowing these truths intellectually is like reading a menu when you're hungry. Knowledge alone doesn't nourish. Practice does. So here's my invitation to you, choose one teaching that resonated most deeply. Just one. Make it your companion for the next week. Write it on a card and carry it with you. Set phone reminders with the phrase. Share it with a friend. Live with it, breathe with it, experiment with it. Because here's the final secret, these teachings aren't about becoming someone different. They're about coming home to who you already are beneath all the worry, beneath all the fear, beneath all the stories your mind tells. You are already whole. You are already enough. You are already free. The worry that brought you to this video, thank it. It led you here, to this moment, to these teachings, to this remembering. A final practice, place both hands on your heart. Feel it beating, this heart that has carried you through every difficult moment, that has never given up on you. Say to yourself, I am safe in this moment. The present holds me. I release what I cannot control. I embrace what is. I choose joy as my practice. I meet myself with compassion. I am already home. Take 3 deep breaths, feeling your feet on the ground, your body in space, your presence in this sacred now. This is your meditation. This is your medicine. This is your path. Remember, peace isn't waiting for you in some perfect future. It's not hiding in an improved version of yourself. It's here, now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this moment of awareness. The Buddha's last words were, work out your salvation with diligence. Not with perfection. Not with harsh judgment. Not with endless worry. With diligence, steady, patient, compassionate practice. You have everything you need. The path is beneath your feet. The next step is always just one breath away. Welcome home to yourself. Welcome home to now. Welcome home to peace.